If you look at this map, it really displays the differences between the states whereby, you have concealed carry reciprocity. And the blue states have reciprocity with Florida, the red states don't. It really displays a real divide in ideological differences between mainly the Northeast and the left coast and the rest of the nation. It almost looks like a presidential electoral college map, for crying out loud. You pretty much see this. The South and the Midwest vote one way, and the Northeast and the left coast vote another way. And also Illinois and the Chicago area. So it's something that, when I look at this one issue, when you talk about the gun issue, it's almost as if you're talking about a lot of issues in one thing, because it's an ideological divide. It actually was prior to the nation being formed. It was the anti-federalists, which were the ones that proponents of the Bill of Rights, the Jeffersonian types, and the ones that were federalists, that were like the Hamiltonians and the John Adams types. When you're looking at this map with reciprocity on concealed carry, it really does display a major ideological divide between the nations. Now, I'm thinking about getting a concealed carry permit, not necessarily because I want a concealed carry, but if I go to my land up there in Tennessee, northeast Tennessee, if I'm carrying a weapon, which not necessarily for robbers on the highway, I'm not really worried about that. If I get up there in that mountain, northeast Tennessee, and there's some kind of critters that want to bite me, I'd like to have a gun on me. So, to having a concealed weapons permit traveling through Georgia and Tennessee where there's reciprocity would be a good thing, because, it makes you double safe, with the laws and all that kind of garbage. New Jersey, you really can't go anywhere unless, with a weapon, unless you're going in a car, unless you're going to a shooting range, going hunting, or going to a gunsmith or some other actual purpose. You just can't have a weapon in a car. I don't think it's a problem. Just not a problem having a weapon in a car as long as it's encased in Florida. But I don't know how it is if you're traveling through states, if there's another law or something. But with a concealed weapons permit, I ain't gonna have a problem with that garbage. So, but I was looking at. I just want to obliquely talk about something else too here. I was looking at a lot of videos on YouTube about concealed weapons, best top 5 concealed weapons that are revolvers, top 5 that are semi-automatics, new ones for 2018, and wow, God, they make it so. Now, I know a lot of stuff about guns and pistols and revolvers, like from way back, but to tell you the truth, sometimes the old school is the best thing going. For concealed carry, you're not going into battle, for crying out loud. Most of the time, you just want something small that's very reliable, and it's for a short distance. This Colt Detective Special, which is based upon basically the old Smith & Wesson that the detectives and, the cops used to carry as backup guns, that's a good one right there. It's a 6-shooter versus a 5-shooter. 38 Special. And 38 Special was the cutting-edge technology after 38 Smith & Wesson. So, you ever try to shoot a snub-nosed 357? You could do it, but, the gun goes up in the air, and you're not going to be on target for the second shot very quick. So, just kind of like, all this stuff they tell you on YouTube about, the ballistics and the stopping power. Sometimes it pays to keep it simple, stupid. Really? Just want to put that out there. But I want to tell you something else, a little story about New Jersey, and one of the things I really can't stand about some of the attitudes up north. I really don't see this attitude so much in California. I was out in California. I lived in California for 3.5 years in North San Diego County. It's more like a laissez-faire. It's an expensive place. It's got a lot of damn rules, but it's getting worse and worse. But they don't really get in other people's business as much over there as they do up in the Northeast. Give an example. Just recently, up in this retirement community up in New Jersey, this woman, they have a rule. Give an example. This is kind of like the whole attitude where, I don't want them coming down south, even if they're quote-unquote conservatives, because they get in everybody else's business. And, that's one reason I'm thinking about getting out of Florida, because there's more and more of these type of people coming down where I'm at, and I'm like, I don't need those kind of people around me. But up in New Jersey, just recently, give an example, and this is like typical. It's like they can't stick their nose out of somebody else's business and just leave them the hell alone. This woman, okay, she has a little dog, the retirement community. You're allowed to have 2 pets. You can't have 3. You're only allowed to have 2. So she has one little dog. But what she likes to do is she likes to adopt a stray cat every once in a while. So she adopts it. She finds a cat. Oh, here's a stray cat. She gets a cat fixed. She gets its shots, and then she finds a home for the cat. She's like a really nice lady doing that stuff. So she found this one cat. It was a female cat. It was pregnant. So instead of like getting it fixed and aborting the little kittens, she allowed the cat to have the babies. She found a home for the cat. She had, and then the cat was, after the cat had the babies, she had it fixed, and she got the shots, and the cat found a home, and she found a home for all the kittens except for 2. She was still working on the last 2, right? So she's out there walking her dog, and the 2 little kittens are following the dog on the leash, they're just like happy. They just follow her. They just follow the dog. They just hang out because that's the only home they know. They don't run anywhere. They don't go anywhere. They follow her and the dog. Some yo-yo was looking out the window saying, "Look, this woman's got a dog and 2 kittens. That's 3 animals. That's 1 over the limit." He reports her to the homeowners association. So now she's getting fined $25 a day. See, this is the kind of stuff that I can't stand up in New Jersey. Boy, does that piss me off. And I don't know why people are like that, because it seems like they have a duty to the state and screw everybody else. Not just the state, any kind of authority. They don't bend any rules. I mean, God, what's the matter with these people? That's why I kind of like lean more toward the Italians up there. At least they bend some rules. Italian wouldn't do that stuff, I don't think. But anyway, so, when they're coming down here, I'm like, whatever. I'm ready. Florida's not critical, like I'm getting the hell out of here right now, but it's like, I'm definitely got my property up there in Northeast Tennessee. I'm looking at either the home base in Tennessee or the home base in North Georgia, very close to Tennessee. So, that's going to be the deal. Now, I want to say that the ideological differences between the North and the South really came on display also in the war between the states. And a lot of times people don't realize this, but like when they had a war between the states, a lot of times the North was loaded with communists and socialists coming from Europe. Abe Lincoln was highly supported by the socialists and communists. And when they won the war, it was, even though the South gallantly tried to fight back against the forces of socialism, and I know what they tell you what the war was supposed to be about, but if you look at the Confederate Constitution, it says no omnibus spending bills. Every single spending bill has to be clearly titled in the statute what the spending is going to be specifically for. There was limits on infrastructure spending. There was one 6-year term for the president that kept the president out of power for up to 6 years, and that was it. You're done. And so, in other words, they're trying to get away from centralized control and too much spending and crony capitalism. And also, there was more states' rights in that the states could impeach a federal judge. 2/3 of the state legislature voted against, voted for impeaching the judge because the judge was making decisions that were affecting the state against the state's wishes. So that could nullify a lot of the ways laws were interpreted in states being enforced by the Supreme Court. So, the states had a lot more power, man. There was a lot of other things, too, like they invoked the language of God Almighty in the Constitution itself, because that's where the power of power of the people, where the power of the people comes from, God. So, but if you look at up north, when they're fighting against the South, and this is like going this is the ideological difference between the Northeast and the South was actually way prior to the war between the states, but it exists right now, and it also is highly on display with gun laws, because gun laws are like, does the government trust individuals with guns? In the South, you got a driver's license and no criminal record, you get a gun, right? North, you got to get all kinds of permits and stuff, and you can't carry one with you, from a lot of the states up there. So, but like in the North, even during the war between the states, the command structure in the Union Army was loaded with former communists and socialists coming from Europe. There were major generals, brigadier generals, captains, and colonels, and all this other stuff. You know, as a matter of fact, Mr. Lincoln, he was 100% fine with the 48 communist socialist revolts in Europe against the powers. He was fine with those kind of revolts, but when the southern states tried to break away from, you know, the crony capitalism in the north, he didn't want that. So the socialists all flocked to the Union. You know, that's one little thing they don't tell you. That's a little caveat I want to throw in here when I'm talking about this stuff with the right to individuals to defend themselves, because there is no other smaller minority than the individual. You know, if I had a biological twin, which I don't, but say I did, that biological twin is still not me. You know, you can't group me and my twin as the same person. That's just how it is. So, you know, different things happen, whether it's by willpower or by individual choices or by environment, where we're different people. So the minority of one is individual rights, and you know, it's not like the collective is the know-it-alls tell everybody what to do. And that's why up in these states up there in New Jersey and things like that, and also it's in like that now in California. Unfortunately, California used to have a very strong middle class. But you look at a lot of these red states, you got a very weak middle class, you got a big, large, poor class dependent upon the government, and you have a very small but wealthy elite class. You know, I think that's starting to go like that a little bit in the South too, but, you know, what are you going to do, man? I mean, it's like, but this map with the reciprocity with concealed carry between Florida and other states really does put on display the ideological differences between the Northeast and the left coast and the South and Midwest United States. There's a major ideological difference. It almost looks like some kind of electoral college map or something. And, you know, what's interesting about Florida, because there's so many snowbirds that come down here, just like so many non-residents that stay down here for 3 or 4 months out of the year, the state of Florida actually allows for a non-resident concealed carry weapons permit for people that are, say, coming from New Jersey or New York. They couldn't even get these permits in their home states, but they can get one down in Florida. And there's a lot of reciprocity between the state of Florida and other states, even for the non-resident Florida concealed carry permit. Not as many as I'm showing on this map for the resident concealed carry permit, but most of these blue states will even recognize, you know, the non-resident one. So, in other words, somebody from New York City, Brooklyn, who probably couldn't even get a gun anywhere, if they were non-resident and they come down to Florida for 3 or 4 months a year, they could buy a gun, they could keep it down here in a safe or something like that, in a summer house, or a winter house, actually, a winter house or snowbird house, and they could have a weapons permit, and they could carry it in the state of Florida. I think it's good in Georgia. It's good in a lot of southern states. A lot of reciprocity. Not as many as up there, you know, as residence license. But they have more rights when they come down here in Florida as a snowbird than they do in their own home state. But unfortunately, you know, their attitudes up north are not the best. And I found that even a lot of the people that are labeled, because I'm not even that conservative, I'm more like individual rights. Because conservatives are very much, you know, pro-government too much, you know. I mean, I'm for, well, I almost think anarchy is pretty good in a lot of ways. Anarchy, like, you know, you remember those movies they used to have in California back in the 1960s, where, you know, everybody's having fun? That kind of anarchy. Good kind of anarchy. But, you know, anarchy is kind of good in some ways. Just, you know, hey, we're just having fun, you know? I mean, hey, riding a motorcycle, going out on the beach and getting a boogie board, right? Whatever, fine. Going up in the mountains and do whatever you want. So, I kind of like California in a lot of ways, but, you know, it's geographically and what it has to offer as a state is a lot. You know, boy, she's got to get rid of that damn government. But anyway, actually, I think California's got more to offer geographically than any other state in the whole freaking country. It really honestly does. But government screwed up. But it used to not be like that about 50 years ago. Man, it was fantastic. But even when I was there, it wasn't even as bad because I was there in the early 90s, mid-90s, early mid-90s. So 3.5 years in North San Diego County. But anyway, you know, this map pretty much shows the ideological differences between the nation. Big divide. And it's just a map of, you know, the concealed carry reciprocity between the Florida residents that have concealed carry license and the other states that recognize it. And you'll notice all these other red states. And you know, even if you go up in the Northeast, like New Hampshire, live free or die state, and you got Maine and Vermont, they're not really that bad. They're not that bad. It's not like the Yankee stuff. You know, I mean, I guess it's Yankee because it's up north, but they don't have the kind of attitude like you have in the major cities in the Northeast. You know, when you get far up New England, it's not that bad. It's not as good as the South, but it's not that bad. You know, there is more freedom up there than there is, you know, in the rest of the Northeast. But Florida, I'm a little worried about for its future because, you know, as more and more people come down here, it's going to get more problematic with more rules. Right now, it's not too bad. When I moved down here, I was very careful to move as far away from the coast as possible because it's not so much North Florida versus South Florida. It's actually coastal Florida versus inland Florida. You can be down in South Florida inland, and it's like the old school Florida stuff. You know, you got the gator hunters, the Native American peoples, you know, the Seminole Indians and the cattle ranchers and all this other stuff. When you get on the coast, it's like the rich jet set. Here I am, and, you know, I got my gin drinks, you know, and I'm out there with my umbrella and my jet ski and all this kind of garbage. So, you know, the big phonies. Unfortunately, even where I am in north central Florida, right in the middle, far away from the coast as possible, and they're getting packed in here pretty bad too. So, you know, I got an eye to the future of getting the hell out of here, but it's not like I live in New Jersey or Illinois or New York or Connecticut or Massachusetts or even California. California on the coast anyway. But, you know, I gotta tell you, it's just like when you're looking at this, it's like it just displays a major divide in the nation. You know, this gun thing is not just about guns. It's about, you know, how people view the individual rights and how people view, you know, what the government should be doing. You know, and me, I'm for as like little government as possible. I mean, yeah, I know you need to have roads and bridges and public utilities and whatever the hell it is. I know this stuff, but I mean, you know, you don't need to get involved in every little stupid detail there is, you know. So that's how I think. And you know, actually, when you look back, you know, California is the best example because, man, California was in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s, was fantastic. Even in the 70s, it was fantastic. It wasn't, you know, it was starting to get bad then, but 50s and 60s, it was great. And they didn't have that much government. You know? I don't know. I wish they'd get rid of that stuff, man. New Jersey always had too much government. And, you know, I know when I was in California, people in California don't like anybody from the East Coast, pretty much. That's the attitude. But I always said it's the Northeast, not the Southeast. The Southeast is good. The Northeast is a problem, you know. But, you know, California's got an attitude of free-loving and do your own thing, as the people are, really are. It's not bad. I know everybody's calling it Commie California right now, but it's the elite doing that stuff. The average viewpoint of the average Californian, from I remember, very, very freedom-loving. Very much so. As a matter of fact, I was surprised they got a helmet law passed California, man. I was like, because I was there, we ride motorcycles, and you'd have no helmets, man. It was like, great, man. Anyway, over and out. And just want to even say on the end of this video, there's hope for California, and when there's hope for California, there's hope for the nation. There you go.